Good morning, everyone. It's indeed a pleasure to have a press with us, GB and MTV Just School, as we conduct this and MTV and the voice, yes, the voice. Inform, yes, inform. Yeah. As we conduct what we consider a very, very, very important press conference that will detail to Grenada, and that is Grenada Caribbean Pitty the developments in boxing, the coming together of this organization, Boxing Association of Grenada Incorporated, with a plan to chart the way forward for boxing and ensure that we take this sport forward. On behalf of the executive, I welcome everybody. My name is Davis Adams. I am the president of Grenada Boxing Association Incorporated, and I would ask the others on my right to introduce themselves.
Okay, Deborah Ann Stevens-John, medical practitioner, certified ringside doctor. I'm the first vice president of the Boxing Association of Grenada Incorporated.
My name is Arthur Pierre. I'm the second vice president of the Grenada Boxing Association Incorporated.
So, by way of introductions, let me just say something about myself. As I would have said already, that my name is Davis Adams. I have been involved in boxing as a boxer from 1983 to around 1989-90, from 1998 to 2006, boxing coach, as a advanced level boxing coach in the Caribbean. In terms of qualification, I'm the primary principal at the South St. George Government School with a master's degree in international business, a bachelor's degree in management studies, and of course being in the teaching profession for over 37 years. And at present now, being elected last Saturday, president of the Boxing Association of Grenada Incorporated.
Okay, well, I'm a medical practitioner. I've been in practice for many, many years, and I would care to say in this forum, but another years, 30 plus years. And I've been involved in boxing since about 2007, when my son got involved in it. And this is what dragged me into it. As I've said on many forums, I hated boxing with a passion. But his passion for boxing is what got me into it. And then I realized that in this you can make a big difference in the lives of many a young person, as we have done. And I have the facts to prove that. In 2013, I became certified as a ringside doctor. And I've been doing this on a regular basis, locally, regionally, and internationally. And I am here to serve in whatever capacity. The boxers, they need the mentorship, and I stand ready to do that. As most of you know, we have a lot of young people out there who are looking for avenues, ways to channel their energy, and boxing is one of the ways into it. And may I say, as a physician, yes, it is a safe sport if you practice it the way that you're supposed to. If you're not trained and you just go there, you will find that you're beating up on yourself. But if you do it the way and follow the rules, because there are a lot of rules, and if you follow the rules, you will be okay.
Okay, again, Arthur Pierre. History, background, I started as a teacher at a primary school, and actually taught at South St. George Government School for a number of years. Left that, went into drug abuse prevention at the Drug Control Secretariat, Ministry of Education. I have been the HIV/AIDS response coordinator, well, nationally and then for the Ministry of Education. And currently, since actually 2020, being assistant with COVID and now is attached to the National Disaster Management Office. As it relates to boxing, I have been a fan of boxing. I've not been a boxer, but I actually love the sport. And over the years, I have basically observed the sport declining. So when I have been, I've been attached to this organization and in the formation of this organization, and became a little bit more interested. And I believe that the knowledge and the experience that I have to bring some leadership to see whether or not we can create new vision as it relates to the development of young persons, both males and females. I believe that I bring that to the table, and I would love to see this sport reach the furthest it can reach with the people that we have on board as an executive, and with the motivation and energies that our young people bring. Some of the boxers that I've interacted with in recent times have indeed showed enthusiasm and that intrinsic motivation to move the issue of boxing forward. I have not seen young persons so enthused as those that I've seen in this particular organization as it relates to boxing. So I'm here to offer my services. I'm committed to the cause, and I hope that we can indeed bring young people together who are interested in the sport and push them forward.
Thank you, Brother Pierre. Missing from the head table, of course, we must let you know that this executive is completed by Secretary Brother Oliver Patrick, who is unavoidably absent due to emergencies that we hope everything will go well with him. So, as the Secretary. The Treasurer is Sister Kathy Dubois, and again, unavoidably absent due to some issues related to scheduling that she really could not have been able to escape. And so she sends her good wishes just as Oliver and hopes that everything goes well. Also, we have missing is our Assistant Secretary Treasurer, who is
Carlene Taylor, and she is in Caracou. And she could not have been here today, but she will be down tomorrow for the event that we're having. And just on a point of correction, Mr. President, Ms. Kathy Dubois is the treasurer of the association. Okay, she has had experience in working with one of the larger corporate companies on the island, and she is also a small business owner, and she's unavoidably absent due to other commitments this morning.
So we would have given you some basic introductory items to this press conference, and we hope the takeaway would be this new body, Grenada Boxing Association Incorporated, being here to ensure that we take this sport forward, and we are going to answer any questions that you have at this time as we try to ensure that Grenada Caribbean Community Mapping understands why we are here and our purpose of being here.
So can you speak to us some of the plans? Say we will put this sport forward. Can you, as president, what are some of the plans for this?
Okay, this is a team effort here, so let me begin by saying our goal is not to make the same mistakes that were made in the past, where our boxers were not part of decision making. And so this organization has been registered, incorporated with a registered constitution that ensures participation by every member of the organization. And that's one way we have already begun the process of taking boxing forward. In the past, what you would have found is that the boxers were really helpless in the face of no administration, no leadership, no guidance. And that is one of the things we wanted to take out of the sport. So hence, we began by doing what we know is best, following the legislation of the land. That is, if you're representing citizens of the land in any sport, to register as an organization. We have done that, and that is part of taking the sport forward, in addition to our annual plan that we will roll out over time, that include the 2- and 3-year cycle and 4-year cycle that will take us into international meets, as well as, without giving specifics, ensuring that the sports diffuses throughout the length and breadth of Grenada, Carriacou, and Pitamatic, what you would have found is that boxing is concentrated in a couple areas. Our goal, our plan is to ensure it does not stay in Carriacou, of which I'm very proud, of course, to be a part of, because originally being from Carriacou, having such a strong foundation up there, and concentrated in St. George, but to ensure that the part of the plan is to bring the sport throughout every parish in Grenada, Carriacou, and Pitamatic at some point. And so that's one of the guiding purposes that we have that for Grenada, because we, as you would have known, boxing has been one of the shining lights in Grenada throughout the 80s and portion of the 90s and so on, ensuring that Grenada gets its due recognition in the arena of sport. That has since ceased, and we believe we continue to have the potential to nurture it to ensure that we get the best out of boxing. I don't want to take all, but I know Doc would want to talk about the issue of training and judging and refereeing, all of the plans that we have, so I probably will hand over to Doc at this time.
Or if there is a question that you want to
Well, I know, you're a little bit surprised that they say that the organization wasn't registered. But that being the case though, boxing is, as I said, in the 80s, one of the most thriving sport all the time, and we have a number of young people outside of St. George's getting involved in boxing. That's not the case today. Yeah, your organization, what plans you have for meeting young people? Because people might have an interest, but if they know that you have a functioning organization, that might have transformed and we want to go. But how you plan to get to young people and get them involved in boxing?
Let me, if I may, let me just say here, the plan is really and truly to meet people where they are. We have young people across the length and breadth of the tri-island state. We have to go out and seek, we have to create opportunities where the young persons can say, look, I'm interested in this. And I may not necessarily be interested in boxing. I might be interested in becoming a referee. So we have to look at what's happening out there in the Caribbean, in the region, and internationally, where there are opportunities for training, and provide this opportunity so that these young people could grasp and hold on to that and be able to move the things forward. There are a number of other young people, I believe, that are interested in boxing, but we don't know that. So we have to create now opportunities, we have to create programs where we may have little tournaments in villages or parishes, actually not just centralizing it in St. George's, but maybe going out to the various parishes and communities and actually encouraging young people to get involved in the sport. While we do that, we look for the best talents. We train them, we refine them, and we prepare them for competition regionally and internationally.
Just let me add, of course, we will not do it on our own. It takes collaborative effort. So the business community, the organizations that input in sports, whether it's the National Lottery Authority, the Olympic Association, and other business entities, and we know a lot of business entities have interest in sport. We need infrastructure, and so that is the way we intend to follow, collaborate, communicate, develop partnership, so that we can get the necessary infrastructure in place that would diffuse throughout Grenada. Of course, as I would have spoken about, getting coaches upgraded, and so that we can find them out throughout the length and breadth of Grenada to ensure that the interest that has been shown is being able to be nurtured by providing coaches and training enough coaches to be able to go throughout the island.
It's interesting, Mr. Adams, that you make reference to the absence of a structure. However, and my colleague hinted to it, there was seeming success in everybody's eyes, that boxing was on a trajectory, we were up there, and we don't have to argue that. But there was no structure. What is the realization is that you understand that there was a faction and there's a divide that caused the drop in the demise of boxing. As a new executive, what plans are there specifically that addresses those concerns? Because very often, if we don't nip it in the bud, those challenges, we've seen it in other sports. Football, for instance, these factions and how we create these turmoils And it would be heart-rending if, as a new executive, you do not address those. And, for example, your relationship with the other external organizations, the Olympics Committees Association, and they are the ones that would help to give support and backbone. What conversation has been taking place, and what are some of the immediate plans to deal with it?
Okay. I'm going to see if I could address that one. But before I go in depth to what you have asked, I'm going to go back a little bit to what the gentleman from Informa has asked. In terms of what we hope to do, how we plan to reach people. We all look at the news and we all look at the sports section at night. And every day I look, I may hear something about athletics, I may hear something about cycling, swimming, and my poor eyes and ears look out every day for when I would hear something about boxing. The most I may see about boxing is when the little sports section comes on, and that section with the little boxing glove comes in.
I'm so sorry.
Right? No, and I listen all the time. I look at the news. If I miss it at 7, I catch it at 10. If I don't catch it at 10 next morning, hoping and praying that one day I will hear something about boxing, and it doesn't happen. So how would people know if you exist if you're not out there? If I don't publicize, if I don't let people know that I'm there, or if even I don't put up a note saying that boxing, but if I let my work speak for me, people will find out about me. Good? And I'm sure all of you sitting here who listen probably don't hear anything about boxing. So imagine the people who are living way out in the length and breadth of Grenada, as we say, they don't hear about us. So it's our duty now to reach out to them, whether it's in the school, whether it's in the community center, wherever they are. Wherever they are, we have to put things in place to meet out to them. When I got involved in boxing, there was an association. Even when I was a medical student, I heard about boxing. I remember being in university because I was trained in Cuba, and Bonnie Wilson, who is now the president of the Olympic Committee, I remember him coming to Santiago de Cuba to participate. What has happened over the years over this? I'm still asking. When I got involved, I met a vibrant group of young men and young women. And being the person I am, we try to push and to get them going. But I think the pushing may have been too much in the eyes of some people. Because in 2017, despite that structure being absent, those of us who were working like the coach, and so we were able to pull the boxers together. And we came out with the best novice. We had a novice who won, who still holds the title in the Caribbean. We also won the Caribbean Championship that year. But everybody get laid back. Everybody just concentrate on what I don't know. Now, if you do not have boxers, you do not have the sport. They are the backbone of the sport. So I think all of this, boxers became very, I don't want to say disgruntled, when they realized that no one represented them anymore. Things started happening and boxers were not involved. They didn't know. In 2019, they participated in a championship in Trinidad. That was the last championship any boxer in Grenada participated in. Well, I shouldn't say any boxer in Grenada because as recent as Birmingham, we had 2 boxers. Now that is a whole other story. It's one thing representing, and it's another thing being properly trained to represent. Right? The last time we had a tournament in Grenada was 2018. The boxers have not seen a boxing ring since 2018. And we have a ring. No, we don't have a home. So that is one problem. And so, of course, things went downhill. And as with everything else, integrity honesty and dignity should always prevail. And this was lacking. So that led to the split. Because things that happened that should not have happened, and people took a stand. And that is boxers, officials, that means the coaches, the referees, the doctor, everybody decided, no, we are not going to stand by and let this happen. And coming out of that, where we are, we're still waiting from that association to give us the response to a letter that was sent to the governing body. And in the process of doing all of that, we realized that the association basically is like a phantom, doesn't exist. And this is how this association came about.
So how does that dark era, as you call it, has all the issues been addressed? You said there was a communique that was sent to try to to bring some balance and equilibrium. Has that been addressed, or is that still hanging out there?
Okay, so let me take that part. The truth is, as an organization, we want to ensure that boxing is unified in Grenada. So that's our plan, our goal, to unify the sport. Everybody, anybody is welcome to come in, to sit down with us, to dialogue. As Doc would have intimated, we have sent out several communications seeking dialogue to ensure that we can address the situation that we found ourselves in and hopefully be able to bring solution to it. There has been lots of what you might call intransigence or pushback, obstruction in not having that dialogue, both from previous executive members who have not shown any desire, one, to bring this sport forward, and two, to have any sort of unity within boxing in Grenada. And hence, we are still open and still believing that there is room, will always be room for dialogue so that we can become one umbrella group for boxing. So that's where we are.
I don't want to labor it because I think there are more important things to move on to. But I'm getting the sense there's something I'm missing. What happened? Because it begs the question. It's very often I'm one to believe, Doc, in order for us to move forward, we have to appreciate what happened in the past, or put it in context. Or if not, 2 months down the line, we may be hearing, well, this current executive can't move forward because the older boys are holding on to the keys for the gate, and we're here in limbo.
Well, Joe, that is in truth and in fact what is happening. The older guys are holding, boys, as you put it, are holding on to the keys of the gate. No, I will give you a brief rundown as to what happened. All right? The association of which I was a part was not functioning. Okay? On that executive, I was the only one who was there. The association was not doing. They were not carrying out the mandate of the Constitution. And things went on and on and on, and I got to the point where I said, this mediocrity and everything that's happening, I don't want to be part of it, so I resigned.
Okay.
And we came into office in 2015, 16, 17, 18, years going, no election. 2019, we decided, okay, election. Now, when we got there, nominations went out, all of that, and the then executive presented a constitution that was not ratified by the general membership. Okay, the constitution under which we were working with stated that to be eligible to serve on the executive as a president, one had to serve 2 full years. The then constitution presented to the returning officer said that you had to serve for 4 full years. So at the time, the person holding the majority of the nominations was not eligible because that person did not serve 4 full years. But neither did any of the other executive members serve 4 full years. So that is what caused members to take a stand that no, this cannot happen. So the then returning officer said, well, okay, if there is so much about this, let us put it on pause, send a letter to the governing body, and we will reconvene at a later date. We are still waiting to reconvene. A letter was sent. I was privy to that letter. Up until this day, we did not get a response. Nobody wrote. The then General Secretary never communicated to the membership that this is what the ruling was. So of course, COVID came and the rest is history. So a group of individuals, boxers, coaches, came together to try to get the sport going. Still no one told us what the ruling was. So we of the notion that we do not have an executive because motion was moved to dissolve the executive and all of that. So we were floating, waiting, so of course no dues were paid, nothing, because nobody said anything to the membership. Next thing we know, election is being called. Nominations were asked to be sent to an individual. Day for the election shows up at the Olympic House, armed police at the door with a list saying who should come in, who should not come in. At the time, we have a boxer who is training for the Olympic qualifiers. He was not allowed to go in. Does that answer your question? And still, we are trying our best to be inclusive. So of course, that led to seeking legal advice and all of that, and that led to the discovery that you guys cannot do nothing about this because this doesn't exist under the laws of the land, which holds the highest authority. Never mind, it's recognized by everyone far and wide.
Interesting. Quite interesting. Let's talk about this weekend.
This weekend. Exactly. It's about food, right?
Yeah, let's talk about this weekend. Yeah. I want to be ringside. Tell me where we're planning to this weekend.
Okay.
We are having, as far as I'm concerned, an exhibition bout this weekend, right here at the youth center. And what time is that?
6.
We start at 6.
6 p.m.
Curtains are pulled up at 6. Ring would be up, and our young boxers would be exercising themselves and having a good time. I think they are eager. They are waiting. They just want an opportunity. I just pray God that they don't be too rough on each other. But nonetheless, we will have our boxers do a little exhibition match. It's free. Okay, there will be drinks and so on sale. And we ask some persons to come out. We ask some persons to be there and to really support our young men. I'm not sure if you are going to involve this for this bout.
I don't think the ladies are going to participate, but they are going to be there.
Yeah. So we have our young men who would be, doing an exhibition match for the general public. I think it's a good opportunity for Grenadians to come out and see their sons and the skills that they have. And we are also asking the public to make a contribution. While the gates are free and you can come in without a cost, we are asking persons to come with a contribution to make towards the development of the sport and the development of our young people. It will be an exciting time. I have not been in boxing for quite a while. I could recall when we had local bouts here, sometimes sentence would come over. The next day I'll be host because I'll be screaming and shouting and having a good time. So we really and truly hope that persons would come out, support, and become interested again in a very, very glorious sport.
What I just want to add to that is, as Arthur said, and I want to go loud and clear. It's quite a number of years, maybe since 2017 for some, they haven't stepped in a ring. So I know the public always loves boxing and will come out. The expectation, I guess, would be to see everybody at the best of their form. That is not what we want your expectation to be. What we want you to see is an enthusiasm for, an exhibition of, and not coming to see the most competitive of fights like Grenada is versus St. Vincent and Trinidad. So I just want the expectation out there to people to understand it's putting back our boxers to feel that ring, that canvas, that rope again, and then to ensure that within them it develops a drive to go out and start training, because they recognize it totally takes on the body, on the cardio, on everything. And so that's what I want to see. But it's going to be exciting.
And also we are inviting our young men to come out and see the sport. They might just be interested. Of course, if they want to become a member of the organization, we have application forms that they could sign, and so they'll get an idea as to what are some of the requirements to join and become a part of the association and help move this thing forward.
And Joe, if you want to become a boxing official, you're welcome, you know. You can become a referee judge.
So somebody
No,
missed.
put it on the jokes aside. One of the other things I may mention is that we also hold the female champion, Caribbean champion in boxing. A young lady by the name of Daria, right? Daria went out there in 2017 and she brought home that title, first time for us. Now, as I mentioned about inclusiveness, you know, no one wants to exclude anybody. This here is not, as somebody put it, somebody called me from Jamaica and they said that they were told that, oh, you guys want to, you know, have a revolution again. No, this is not that. This is just putting things in order, putting things in correct perspective. Yes, we have a body that is recognized. I am not arguing that. But come, let's sit at the table. Something caused this. This didn't just happen overnight, right? Because all of this took over a year, right? The first time we did a press conference was in May or April of last year, when the whole business at the Olympic House happened. And all of this time has passed. Mind you, despite this body is not recognized, I paid money into that association in May last year. I have never received an email from the powers that be during last year into this year. This is not sport. We need to represent our young people better. We need to set better examples to them. We need to show them what integrity is. We need to show them what honesty is. And we need to show them how far they can get with sport. Sport unifies. It doesn't matter which part of the world you go and you talk sport, you can bring people together through sport. So I don't want it to be that we're pushing people apart through sport. And something as boxing. We need to unify, we need to bring people together. And as the other gentleman said, it's not about going in the ring and fight. There is a spot for everybody. You have different commissions. You have the athletes commission, where the athletes actually go in and they will do their boxing. You could be any age to be a referee judge. We have a women's commission. You have a medical commission, and the medical commission doesn't have to be a doctor only. There is room for doctors, physiotherapists, psychologists. And mind you, these are some of the things we did during the pandemic using the Zoom platform. We had engaged Mr. Josh Hector to speak to the boxers. We had Dr. Marsha Nicholson, a physiotherapist, come in and do some work. We brought people from far and wide, hand wrapping specialists, cut technicians. We brought all these people using the Zoom platform to engage our boxers. Mr. Beckles out of Trinidad, he is a 3-star coach. He did a workshop with the boxers, giving them the technical rules and all of that. So why should we deny people those opportunities just because of, you know, some disagreement? It's time to break that barrier, open it up, include people. Somebody in St. Andrews or St. Patrick's who want to get into boxing, they're free to do so. Get their application and let us put things in place and get this thing right.
Let's talk.
Just before you go, just to add, I mean, seeing that Doc has laid that foundation, which is very, very the picture of what has happened. I guess what we need to clear up also is what communication have we had throughout this whole process of BAG Incorporated coming into existence. We have written, of course, all the major sporting organizations, of course, starting from AIBA, Grenada Olympic Committee, Ministry of Sport. So we have not done things in exclusion. We have ensured that we have communicated to all the major players and stakeholders. So yes, we have communicated to all stakeholders who are involved in the sport of boxing, whether it's Grenada Olympic Committee, Ministry of Sport, Grenada Lottery Authority. We have communicated to everyone, both locally and, of course, internationally.
One of the things that drives young people, or anybody, towards any arena or any category is the remuneration, financial remuneration. Cricket, big bucks. Athletics, big bucks. We know that. So young people naturally tend to gravitate towards that. And then there's this, when it comes to contact sports, there's always a hesitation. And I think Doc hinted to it. Because of that, those phobias and lack of knowledge. Speak to either one for me. That lack of knowledge, where people think boxing, just the other day I was watching some old videos with Muhammad Ali, going back to his last two fights, with Larry Holmes, and I'm like, oh, poor thing, where Holmes literally broke down. This is what has happened to the great man. And historically, there's been that phobia, that fear. If you can, Doc, speak to that about it. And President, if you can, talk also about the opportunities, maybe more for you, that is in there. That listen, I can take boxing as a career, maybe as a professional, which Doc will get. So,
Okay.
start with you.
So if you remember when I started, I said I hated boxing with passion, right? And I always say that, whichever forum I go to, I would say that. I didn't like boxing. I hated it with a passion. I remember when, for the same reason you're giving that, oh, you just see people beating up on people, head knocking and whatnot. I remember when my son came to me the very first time with this, I went ballistic. I said, where you come from with this? I never beat you. Why would you go for somebody to beat you up? And he said, Mom, it's not like that. All right? And I have come to see that it's not like that. There is a science. There is a technique, as with everything else. You go to play cricket, there are rules. Whatever you do, there are rules. And there are rules in boxing. And once you play by the rules, and well, know the rules and play by the rules, you will not be exposed unnecessarily. Yes, things happen. People have died. People have died in any other sport, right? Injuries happen in football, in cricket, whatever. You get a bad bat, you knock your chin and you get your neck out of anything like that can happen. But you have to know the rules. And it is not a one-man sport or a two-man sport when two men in there. That referee, he has to know the rules. And he has to know when to stop. The doctor has to know the rules. He or she has to know when to say stop, when to say box. All right? So you come in. The first thing we have to make sure is that you are fit to box. So when we have that event on Saturday, you may come all excited to get in the ring, and I may say, no, you're not fit to go
But there's
in.
no hope for me.
Of course, you are going to the super heavy. Once you pass everything. All right? So you have to be able to pass the physical examination before you can go into the room. We get your full past medical history. Everything has to be disclosed, and you go through that examination. And while you're in the ring, we sit on the side of the table and we're looking, not to be entertained, but to look for potential injuries. When I'm sitting there, I'm looking, my eyes moving, I'm looking at your feet, I'm looking at your shoulder, I'm looking at the way you hold your head, everything, your eyes, expression, because sometimes a boxer is trying to tell his coach something, and the coach may be busy saying, box, jab, whatever. And if you look good, you can see this boxer is trying to tell the coach, you need to come out. Good, so these are some of the things. The referee, on the other hand, he is looking for all the legal and illegal moves. And there is something you call the 8 count. The 8 count is not just because, well, I want to get you out. If the referee sees that the boxer gets a blow that is either too hard to the body or to the head, he will give an 8 count. And if you get a certain among 3 8 counts in one round, you're out. Right? So there is not much room for you to be battered in the ring and get hurt. So it's pretty safe, and that is just scratching the top with all the rules that could prevent someone from getting injury. And as time goes by, these rules are, we look more into it to decide this is okay, that is okay, to move on.
In terms of the opportunities that you were speaking about, just like every other sport, there is always an amateur section. So schools cricket, nobody gets paid in Grenada for schools cricket, but that's the foundation to moving on to national selection, moving on to the Windward Islands, moving on to the Leeward Islands, moving on to the West Indies team. And then of course, having built the foundation, and you are expert at it, then you can now earn monies from your hard work. Similarly with boxing, Olympic boxing is the foundation to move you from the amateur sport into the professional sport. So Olympic boxing, of course, it's not, you don't get paid, but once you do Olympic boxing, it's to prepare you to move from amateur to professional. What Grenada hasn't done well over the years, although we have produced brilliant and excellent boxers, is make them transition from being an excellent amateur boxer where you're protected even more into a professional boxer where you can earn big bucks like Floyd Mayweather and Tyson Fury and all of those. Our goal is not to make the same mistakes that were made in the past where we did not find that collaboration, we did not find that avenue to move our elite boxers into where they can now earn a living out of it. So we want to ensure that we establish a sport, get them fight, get them to learn the ring, get them to learn the technique, get them to develop. Because in the past, Grenadian boxers would have 10 fights and a Cuban would have 110, and they did well. So in terms of the future for boxing, we believe that there is a future, but we have to break that cycle where we did not move our boxers like Bonnie Wilson and Christopher Collins and Kennis and Joey Lewis and Alex James. Those are brilliant boxers who could have made great professionals, but we were not able to transit them because we did not have the necessary contacts and so on. Our desire is to ensure that the connections that will take us from Olympic boxing to get our boxers managed by professionals, we want to find those avenues for them also.
How many young persons have done this play on Saturday? Can you start with the age group?
Okay, on Saturday, we have at least 6 bouts confirmed, right? And we don't have any, but we only have 1 or 2 boxers under the age of 18. Okay, one of them is Jaffa Shade. He represented us at one of the youth tournaments together with Coach Sebastian from Caribbean. All right, but all the others would be what we consider the elite boxers over the age, and we may have 1 or 2 novices over that age.
I got one, and I'm going to wrap. The time is fast spent. I know after your line of work, you've dealt with issues, young men, there's issues of domestic violence, and the role that sports play. All sports. I sure would agree that boxing is no different. What are your hope? Your hope that in all of this, and maybe boxing, as other sports could serve as an avenue that would allow for us, not just men, or individuals, to pass that aggression, that time that allows them to become better individuals.
Right. Boxing, as far as I'm concerned, from what I have observed over the years, is a very disciplined sport. So it is not a situation where a guy will come inside and say, look, I'm ready to beat a man. Right? You have to be properly trained. There are rules, just as our doc has laid it beautifully. There are rules and regulations in which you do things. One of my concerns has a lot to do with, well, I have 2 concerns. really and truly, when as it relates to men, their health and the issue of violence. And let me tell you, both cause a lot of our young men to either be hospitalized or be a member of the cemetery, right? With a sport like this, what you can see and what we hope to achieve through the structure that we have set up is to, when we have our young people come, to ensure that they, one, they're healthy. I think Doc has alluded to that they are healthy. Two, that they follow the structure so that when they are being trained, when they have to fight, they know that it is not a situation where you become so emotionally charged and your intention is to really kill this person, but to do so in a very skillful way. Not kill the person skillfully, but to be able to fight in a skillful way. Respecting your opponent and understanding that this is a sport. Okay? As it relates to health, it gives, again, an opportunity for young people to get in something that they can become physically healthy. Right? We are seeing the demise of a lot of our persons as soon as they hit 30, 40, 50. And that's one of my concerns. I'm in another organization, the Public Workers Union, and it has been a concern for me as an individual when it comes to the issues of men's health. Okay, too many of our men within the public service are dying even before retirement, or they die very soon after. If we can get our young people to get involved in a sport that would keep them active, that would keep them alert, that would give them an opportunity to vent some of the issues that they have within the ring in a disciplined and controlled way, I think it augurs well. One of the things we do see among a lot of our young people is things like childhood obesity, diabetes, juvenile diabetes, juvenile hypertension. I'm not a medical doctor, I'm sure Doc will talk about it. They have asked me some years ago to talk to some young people about eating and about health and so, and when I went there, the oldest person I think was about 18 years. Okay, so you have children that are diabetics, right? I'm happy to see that there are a number of children, 5 and 6 and so, that are involved in martial arts and so. Why can't they be involved in boxing? All right? We have to see the opportunities. We have to keep our eyes on what's happening internationally. Get the opportunities for them internationally, get them involved, train them properly. And we can only do that in an environment where the structure is there, where we have persons that are leaders, where we have persons that can encourage and motivate, and where we can tend not just to their physical health, but to their mental health as well, and the psychological.
And if I may just add, as Arthur, he is involved in the STD and avoidance and all of that, and that ties in well with boxing. Because if you're boxing, you can be tested at any given time. Nobody gives you notice that, oh, we're coming to test you. So it keeps them away from drugs and even the lifestyle diseases, because they have to be HIV negative, hepatitis B negative. So you come up positive with one of those, you're not going to get the box internationally. You wouldn't be able to go, because that's one of the things when you go out there and you show up for your medical and sports entry check, you have to come with your HIV, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and all these things. So who wants, lifestyle. So it gives a whole different lifestyle. Your drug use and so becomes not when you're in boxing. So it's one of the things that I would encourage. I wouldn't say if I had a son, because I already have a son in it. But those who are listening, and they will be on the proper guidance.
And so as we close this session, let me say once again that our goal is to serve, to be inclusive in the area of boxing, in the sport, to extend a clarion call for everyone to come under one organization, one body in this small island of ours, to ensure that boxing gets, as we would have said, to the length and breadth of Grenada, a grassroots program that can take it through every corner, every community, through the schools, an invitation to all to come and to encourage our boxers and those who are going to be part of the exhibition on Saturday, to our members of parliament, to show that sort of a desire to not just come out in the boxing itself, but to show an interest in their constituency, and including their constituents in organized activities, and boxing being one of them, and showing it both verbally and tangibly to all constituency representatives, to our Ministry of Sport, to the Olympic Committee, to Lotto. We once again want to let you know we are there. We want to show you that we're going to make the sport what you want it to be, and when you invest in it, that your return on investment is you're going to be proud of it. And so we want to thank MTV, we want to thank GBM, we want to thank the Informer, Just School, and all others who have. We thank you for taking some of your precious time with us this morning as we try to bring this sport forward.
Let's box.
Let's go, Joe, come on.
Let's get